All right, so here we have a modern economy as a circular flow model, and that is a graph that you have already seen, so we'll not spend too much time on it. But this is the foundation of how we look at, from which we derive the national accounting system. So let's say we have only two households. We just forget about the government for a second. We have households and firms. And you see here blue arrows and green arrows. So the blue arrows is the real sector of the economy, and the green ones is the monetary sector of the economy. So let's start with the households. So the households, they supply land, labor, and capital on the market of production factors, where the firms demand land, labor, and capital in order to produce and then supply goods or services, which then in turn are again demanded by the households. So that's the real sector of the economy. And of course the households, when they supply the production factors of land, labor, and capital, they receive income, and that income is called rent for land, wage for labor, and interest for capital. And for the firms, those are rent, wage, and interest expenditures. And by selling the goods on the market for goods and services, the firms have income in terms of revenues and profits. And again, they are fed by the consumption expenditures by the firms. So what's important here is in economics we have only three production factors. So we have three production factors. And they are land, labor, and capital. And again, those are all real production factors, meaning capital is not a stock or money. Capital is machines and factories, things that are being used to produce final goods and services. And so land, we said, receives rent. Labor receives the wage, and capital receives interest. And again, the difference between capital, land, and labor is that capital needs to be accumulated, whereas land and labor is readily available. So we need capital through investment, and investment in turn is defined as foregone consumption. So when you are a student and you come to class, that is considered to be investment, not consumption. And because what you do is you invest in your human capital, right? So you basically, what you do by studying, you convert labor into human capital. But of course other units of capital could be a machine to build something. So land is basically arable land and fishery resources. Labor is unskilled workforce, and capital is all accumulated things that are used to produce final goods and services. Okay, so that is quite important. And another important thing is that a fundamental result that we get from that circular flow model is that somebody's expenditures always need to be equal to somebody else's income. So expenditures need to be equal to income. And that is what the national accounting system builds upon. So that's an important result. We know everybody's expenditures needs to be somebody else's income, and that is why we have different ways of calculating GDP. We can calculate GDP from the expenditure side, which is what we start doing next, or we can do it from the income side. And there's even a third way, we can do it from the value-added perspective. And we will go over them one by one in the next couple of videos.